going to try to track with you in time with the movie, and we're not quite as far back as the movie at the moment, so we're approaching the house. A bit of a wobble over there. It's more up this path, so he goes up to the door here, goes up a little further, so we've got the bottom of the door frame there, and we've got this in. So we glance over that window and then we go quickly round the side of the house. That's where you've got to be really speedy. Hey, we arrived at the window, and Michael's obviously watching Judith and her boyfriend doing what they're doing. And he waits a little bit. And then we have a quick glance over there before we come rushing back past that gate. We stand about here and we look up at that window. The light goes out, so we come down and we rush around the side of the building, past that window there, and then there's this gate here, and then Michael enters in through that door there, which is something we can't get, so we can't get around to get that angle, but from there on out we are inside the house. Okay, so we're stood now outside what used to be Nichols' hardware store in the 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween. As you can see, it's now a restaurant called Red Eka, and this is the part where Annie and Laurie draw up in their car, and of course they're worried that Sheriff Brackett can smell the drugs on them, so they draw up outside the car and they explain they're going to go off and do something for the night. And Brackett wonders what they're up to, and he basically tells them that somebody broke into the hardware store and stole a rope, a mask and a couple of knives. So Laurie and Annie drive off in this direction, and as they do, Loomis draws up in his car, and he draws up and he walks across here and he starts a conversation with Sheriff Brackett roughly about where I'm standing now. As they're having that conversation, a car draws up over there, and of course that's Michael Myers in Loomis's station wagon. And while Loomis is stood here having the chat with Brackett and casually looking around in the wrong direction, I think Loomis looks off over here and the car pulls past, and as Loomis looks back in this direction, Michael has already passed him by. So that's how Loomis manages to miss the person that he's looking for driving right behind him. Roughly where this guy's got his car now, that's where Michael Myers was stood waiting for the traffic lights to change, and I'm sure his point of view would have been over here at Nichols' hardware store watching Loomis and Brackett in conversation, completely unaware that he was there. Okay, so I don't know if you can notice, but we've got what used to be Nichols' hardware store over there, and if you just take a look right over here, we've got the place where the Myers house has been put nowadays, because it used to be further down this street, further down, what's the name of this street? Meridian, further down Meridian. So they moved it, I don't know how many years ago, but they moved it to just over here. So Myers house over there, Nichols' hardware store, right over there. Right, we're going to do this one handheld. I'm not going to be in all the shots, so don't worry about that. This is where Laurie walks across and meets little Tommy Doyle, so let's do that path. Last time I showed you it as it was seen on film, so this time we're going to do it as it would have been through Laurie's point of view, so let's go for it. So we are crossing the road right over here. Make sure there's no traffic. So Laurie comes across the road over here. As I say, if you want to see the previous version, the way it looks in the movie, you can check it out on my other Halloween video. This is what would have been Laurie's point of view, really. So she would have been walking along here, minding her own business. She probably walked faster than I did, but, you know, getting old. If you look in the movie, there's a bit of a spoke that comes out of the ground around there somewhere. And there's still something there now, so whether that is the same one, I don't know. And then little Tommy Doyle, he comes running down here, and then we cross the road, and you can see that famous palm tree right in the distance. So as you can see, there's the famous palm tree that you can see as Laurie and Tommy are crossing the road. The Myers house was probably around here somewhere. Right, so I think that's the tree that we see behind Laurie and Tommy. Some of everything's a little bit bleached out. It's very sunny here. I don't know what's going on with this camera today. And then Laurie would have walked down this path, and Michael would have come out roughly around around here somewhere. You would have seen his shoulder looking out as she walked down the path. Okay, so here we are outside Laurie Strode's house, seen at the beginning of Halloween, of course, when she leaves to go to take the keys to the Myers house. This place is actually up for sale at the moment. I think it's in the millions. I don't know the exact figure. I'll find out. I'll pop it up there somewhere for you when I get home. And yeah, you could buy the Strode house if you want to. And you may remember that famous moment where Laurie kind of hears a noise and she turns around and looks over here and she hears the children yelling trick or treat and they run out of this house over here. Okay, and this is the part where Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, sat on this exact spot and she was waiting for Annie to turn up. Annie would turn up over there, we'll have a look at that in a moment, but she sat on this exact stoop, holding a pumpkin, waiting for Annie to turn up. So she's just sitting there casually looking up and down the road like this, outside the Strode house. And I don't know if you can see here, but on the very bottom, I'll bring it towards the camera, I don't know if it'll be in focus, but somebody's written on the bottom there, property of Laurie Strode. They're probably looking for Michael Myers, you can hear the sirens. So Laurie would have been sat here, this would have been her point of view, and roughly where those white cars are, somewhere in between there, that's where Annie would have stopped to have picked her up to take her babysitting, and that fateful night that lay ahead. So these two trees here are still here from 1978 and they made it into that shot. So if I can find a still, I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, these two trees here, and you saw Laurie walking out of the house over there and walking over to here. So just outside of Laurie Strode's house, over here across the street, if we come down here, there's a little park bench. If we go down and have a look, you'll see that it's a tribute to Mus Farrakad, and he's the godfather of the Halloween series. So we are at another famous scene at the moment, so see if you can guess what this is. So we are tracking the girls first of all along here, and they're walking along in this direction. Walking along here, chatting. And you can see those curved steps that way. And they're all having a bit of a conflab, a bit of a chat. And then it comes around here. They're talking to Linda. Linda says goodbye. And Linda pops up onto the lawn here. She actually walks up on that corner there and walks across, and this is what would be Linda's house. So as Linda does that, we're still following, we're still following the other girls along here. Laurie looks up and she sees somebody stood right where that hedge is there, and this is roughly where the shot is. It's a little bit further back because you can still see the edge of this curb down here. So yeah, Laurie looks up, sees somebody stood there. Annie, of course, takes the initiative and she marches on up to the hedge. She's not afraid. So she comes up about here, stands here, and pretends that the guy is talking to her, in which case Laurie looks back. So we look back at Laurie. Laurie's looking all confused. She stood around here. And of course she joins Annie here. It's at this moment, if you're looking at this hedge while Annie's talking, you'll see some cigarette smoke go past just about here. And that's John Carpenter having a cigarette. And then when Laurie, sorry, excuse me, it's very brightly. When Laurie eventually joins Annie, I'll try and get that to look darker for you. When Laurie eventually joins Annie and looks around the corner, of course there's nobody there. So Michael simply stares at the girls and then he does this. So the establishing shot of the movie Halloween, when the title comes up, Haddonfield, Halloween, sits right about there. This is the junction of Montrose and Oxley in southern Pasadena. So yeah, it sits just about there on that horizon. So if you're looking down there, that is the opening shot of John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween with the title Haddonfield and Halloween. So we're on the corner of Highland and Fairview, and this is where the girls, this is what basically is the speed kill street. So the girls walk along here, and in a moment I will show you the route that they take rather than you looking at me doing it, and well, you can compare it to the film yourself. So sorry it's very noisy, they're cutting trees down here, but this is the route they take. You can see the famous stone pillar over there. So they walk along this street chatting initially, and they go past one tree, Everything's grown up a little bit since 1978. Still going backwards, still chatting. Sorry, it's still a bit glary with the sun. It's a very bright day here in southern Pasadena. And this is the second tree they pass, which you'll see just about now. It's got those funny little grooves in it, as you can see. And they cross over the street. So let's do just that without getting knocked over. So they cross over here. And continue their walk along this way. Getting knocked on the head by a tree every step of the way. Me, that is, not them. So yep, as you can see, that's the route that they take. And then somewhere along here, someone starts complaining about losing their chemistry books and their history books and all the other books that they miss. And a car draws up round the corner. It's our white-faced friend. I don't mean Michael Jackson. It's the other Michael Myers. And we're going along here. And it's somewhere around here. I don't know the exact spot. I'd have to look at the film. But somewhere around here. I think it's roughly about there, where they yell out to him that speed kills. And he screeches the car to a halt. The girls are standing roughly here, looking worried, especially Laurie. And they say, "Is that Devon Graham?" And then Laurie says, "I don't think so." And then they carry on up here, and Michael speeds up again and disappears around the corner. And then from there on out, we follow the girls in this direction, walking down here. And disappearing off into the shots that we saw back down on the other location, down by the hedge. So over my shoulder here we've got the Wallace house from John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. And of course this is one where Annie was babysitting, so that's the Wallace house. Let's have a look. And of course this bit wasn't actually there in 1978, this has all been built up. It was literally just kind of this area down here, kind of down there, that used to be there. But all of that up there has been built up, completely redesigned. But that's the Wallace house from John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. So this house right here, this is the Trick or Treated to Death Tonight house. So you saw that at the beginning of Halloween 2, once Loomis has chased Michael downstairs. And if we look just over there, that's the Doyle house, and that's where all the final scenes from the movie happen. So let's go and have a look at that. Again, this is the Trick or Treated to Death Tonight house. Loomis comes stumbling out around there somewhere, and the guy comes out on his lawn there and says, "I've been trick or treated to death tonight." And behind me here, the Doyle house from John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. And of course, when Michael takes that fatal fall, well, not so fatal fall because he got up again, off this bit here. And this one is the Doyle house, which is being completely renovated from the 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween. So although this is in Hollywood, I don't know if you can see, but these trees and this street very much looks like southern Pasadena, where the majority of the film was shot. So that's why it was done down here. And it matches in very, very well. We're in a location now which is for the movie Halloween 2, which was released in 1981. So a little bit off the 1978 track. But you may recognise this alleyway, because first of all, right down there where those guys are, that's where Loomis yells, "I shot him 6 times," as he's picked up my sheriff bracket in the car and driven off. So we got that alleyway down here. This is that famous alleyway, and that's where those guys are roughly now. That's where the car picks him up. I shot him 6 times. Might have been 7 if you watched the beginning of part 2. So this is the back end of the Rock house from Halloween 2. I hope you enjoyed that video looking at some of the filming locations from 1978's Halloween and of course 1981's Halloween 2. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Please click on the thumbs up button, really helps the channel out. Do not be a thumb bandit, you know those weirdos who click on it that way up. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. There's loads of different videos on here. Thumbs up and subscribing, all free. And hit the notification bell and it'll let you know when I've done another one of these videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon.